Uchimakata against a right-hander, however, involves him controlling Uki's power hand. Inui takes a left lapel and right armpit grip when fighting a right-hander. This means that Inui comes inside Uki's right arm and thus restricts him from controlling his left side. Inui actually leads with his left hand, taking an armpit grip. He then works on taking his opponent's lapel with his right hand. As soon as both hands are on, he attacks. By taking the armpit, Inui is immediately in control of Uki. He can use it for attack, as an anchor to pull in and take their lapel, or for defense, to prevent them controlling his left side. In the final of the 1999 World Championships against Zhang of Korea, Inui sets his stall out early, leading with a right armpit grip before trying to control Yang's left lapel. As soon as he has both hands on, he attacks. With a minute gone, Inui comes out and again takes the right armpit, then the lapel, and attacks. He scores Yuko and is ahead in the final. In the replay, you can see that Inui flies in with his left hand, securing the armpit grip. Then he works on the left lapel, and once both hands are on, he doesn't hesitate, attacking Yang with Osotogari and then Makikomi. 2 minutes in, and once again Inui takes armpit and lapel, before throwing Yang for a second Yuko and moving well ahead. Halfway through the contest, and Inui, who is now dominating, settles on his armpit and lapel grip and then throws another barrage of attacks at the Korean. The referee has no option but to penalise Yang because of Inui's superior work rate. And what does Inui do? He comes straight back out, takes the armpit and lapel, and refuses to allow Yang any respite. He attacks with Osotogari, Uchimata, Ouchigari, then Ouchi again, and a massive Osoto. Zhang, lucky not to go for Ippon, and Inui just won't go away. In the final of the 2000 Paris tournament against home favourite Stefan Trenu, a strong right-hander, Inui anchors his opponent's right armpit and then goes to work on the right lapel. He then attacks, first with Uchimata, then with Ouchigari, and then back in with Uchimata. This time against Francis Lemaire in the 2001 World Semi-Final, Inui once again leads with a right armpit grip before battling for the lapel. Then the attacks start. Ashiwaza, Ouchigari, Uchimata, Osotogari, Uchimata again, and then another Osoto. The referee rules it outside the area and Lemaire is lucky to escape. Later in the same fight, Inui again goes straight for Lemaire's right armpit. Then it's the lapel, and then straight in with the attacks. Uchimata, Osotogari, and Taniotoshi. This time he scores Yuko, and he's now in the driving seat. In the 2001 World Final against Kovacs, Inui is quickly onto the armpit and lapel. A bit of movement, and straight in with the Ouchigari. In his third World Final, Inui has to be strong on the grips against Lemaire. Inui takes the armpit and then looks for the lapel. Lemaire feels so threatened by the lapel grip that he drops to his knees and he's lucky not to concede a penalty. And here, a great example of Inui starting with an armpit and lapel grip and switching to a classic sleeve and lapel grip. Once he has armpit and lapel, Inui twitches with Ouchigari and attacks with Uchimata. But he doesn't quite have the control. After Van der Geest's attack, Inui adjusts his armpit grip to the sleeve and throws with a beautiful Uchimata. In the replay, you can see that Inui uses his right armpit grip to help prevent Van der Geest's Taitoshi attack. Once it's done the defensive job, he moves his hand down to Van der Geest's sleeve and starts the movement into his Uchimata. Inui has a number of subtle little tricks he uses when opening for kumakata. A gripping feint that Inui uses against a right-hander tricks the opponent into believing he's going for the right sleeve. Inui then comes up and takes their right armpit. Naturally, Uki doesn't want their right hand to be pinned, and so moves out of the way, leaving their chest exposed and giving Inui the space to latch onto the armpit. Inui's feint is so quick that it's just the smallest of flicks towards Uki's sleeve. This creates a natural defensive reaction in Uki, leaving their chest exposed. In the 1999 World Championships against Francis Treneau, look out for the feint from Inui. He latches onto the armpit, then lapel, and then throws Treneau with Uchimata for koka. From close up, you can clearly see that Inui fakes to take the sleeve, and Treneau withdraws his arm, leaving his armpit exposed for Inui to grip. In the same fight against Treneau, Inui is so quick with the feint. Onto the armpit and then the lapel. He's now inside of Treneau and comes in with the attack. In this third example against Treneau, Inui manages to pull off a double feint. This gets him his favoured left lapel grip. Inui is again inside of Treneau's grips and looks the more dominant fighter. Notice all of Treneau's attention is now on Inui's left hand. Inui flicks with the left, but it's his right hand that comes through and takes the lapel. Treneau is so determined to stop Inui's left hand that he forgets to defend his left lapel from Inui's power hand. In the 2000 Paris tournament, Inui's gripping feint against Bagdasarov gives him an armpit and lapel grip from which to launch an Uchimata. Inui flicks down for Bagdasarov's sleeve. The Uzbek moves it up and out of the way, leaving Inui the space to take the armpit grip. He then works the lapel before throwing with Uchimata for koka. A tactic Inui employs against right-handers is to launch a surprise attack on the right side of the opponent's body. Although Inui doesn't always score with this tactic, the attack is enough to force Uki into defense and put Inui on the front foot. One of Inui's attacks on the right side is Seoinage. Once happy with the right sleeve and lapel grip, Inui moves in to throw. This Eri Morochi Seoinage is initiated by Inui pushing Uki's right arm across his body to get a reaction in the opposite direction. He then draws Uki's arm and lapel outwards and drops in under the shoulder to throw. Notice the movement Inui creates in Uki before he attacks. Inui takes the sleeve and lapel and pushes across Uki's body. Uki reacts against this, and Inui uses this reaction to throw with Seoinage. In the final of the 2003 World Championships, Lemaire of France is desperately trying to prevent Inui's right hand from taking his left lapel. So Inui, with a sleeve grip, takes Lemaire's right lapel and attacks with Seoinage. It's only 20 seconds into the final, and Lemaire has set out his stall to stop Inui's power hand from taking his lapel. So instead, Inui decides to get Lemaire on the move. He pushes Lemaire's sleeve across, takes the near lapel, and attacks with Seoinage. No score for Inui, but he's now in control of this final. A minute later, and with Inui now a yuko up, Lemaire is still on the defensive, desperately trying to stop Inoui's lapel hand. Inoue creates the movement and comes in with another Seoinage. Lemaire, who thinks that by stopping Inoui's lapel hand he can stop Inoue, forgets to even attack. Instead, it's Inoue who creates the movement and throws with Seoinage. No respite for Lemaire, who's already behind in this contest. Inoue can also use Uchimata as a double right-sided attack. Inoui's left hand takes a right armpit grip and his right hand takes Uki's right lapel. Notice Inoui's unusual cross grip on Uki's right lapel and how his elbow pushes against the side of Uki's face as he throws. This Uchimata is a surprise attack from Inoue and comes as soon as he gets a grip on the right side of his opponent. Inoui's Osotogari on the right side is incredibly powerful. Here he demonstrates where Uki's balance is weak. Uki feels safe because he's only given Inoue the sleeve and not the left lapel. In this situation, Inoue snaps onto the right lapel and uses Osotogari as a surprise attack to unsettle his opponent. And to surprise Uki even more, Inoue sometimes throws from a single right-sided lapel grip. Against Hishimura in the 1999 All Japan Championships, Inoue performs a great example of a single-sided Osotogari. Against an awkward opponent who's refusing to give Inoue his left lapel, Inoue pounces on the right lapel and powers in, throwing his right leg across for a wonderful Osotogari. Kosei Inoue has a perfect upright judo posture. One way of trying to prevent this upright posture is by throwing the arm over the top, but Inoue has an answer for this. When an opponent with a strong right arm tries to pull Inoue down and throw their arm over the top, he responds by ducking under the arm and immediately attacking. Inoue uses his left arm to create space to duck under the right arm. As he pops up, he attacks immediately to avoid being penalised. From another angle, pay attention to Inoue's left arm. He grips under Uki's armpit and pushes outwards. He then ducks under the space created before attacking. In the quarter-finals of the 1999 World Championships, Stefan Treneau throws his arm over Inoue's back and takes hold of his belt. Inoue responds, ducking under the arm and attacking immediately. Treneau, a strong right-hander, tries to dominate Inoue with a big grip over the top. Inoue responds by leaning back and on this occasion pulling with his left hand to help him slip under the arm before circling and attacking. He's gone from being in a dangerous position to initiating an attack. With a minute to go and Treneau chasing the contest, he tries the same tactic again. Inoue ducks under the arm and attacks with Uchimata and Osotogari. As Treneau throws his arm, Inoue grips underneath the armpit. He extends his arm and slips his head out into the spaces created. Although both attacks don't really look like scoring, they enable Inoue to escape from a threatening situation. In the final of the 2000 Paris tournament, Inoue, up against Treneau again, encounters the same problem. This time he jerks back, then ducks under the arm and attacks. Inoue feels the threat from Treneau's strong grip and makes sure that he initiates the attack. Again, he escapes by jerking backwards and extending both arms to create space. He then slips his head out and attacks with an Ouchigari Uchimata combination. A minute later, and Tranu again throws his right arm. Inui has felt Tranu's arm over the top so many times and knows exactly what to do. Inui creates the space, this time pushing against Tranu's right shoulder. Then, once he gets the lapel, he drops and throws with Seoinage off the right side. A fantastic way to turn defence into attack. Another way of trying to frustrate Inui's traditional style of judo is by throwing the Russian arm. Inui not only combats the right Russian arm, but turns it on his opponent so that he ends up in the attacking position. Uki attempts to control Inui's right side by throwing his right arm over Inui's shoulder. As Uki throws the Russian arm, Inui reads the threat. He hugs Uki's body, circles round, and chops him to the floor. Inui anticipates the Russian arm and uses Uki's forward momentum against them. As the arm comes over, Inui sinks his weight, circles all the way around and collapses Uki. He's now in an attacking position in Newaza. Zhang's main threat to Inui in the 1999 World Championship final was the right Russian arm. Many of the Koreans' attacks come from this grip, but every time he threw the arm, Inui was ready. Halfway through the contest, Zhang throws the Russian arm. Inui circles before taking Zhang down to the mat and landing on top of him in Newaza. With Yang 3 yukos down, he throws the Russian arm in desperation, but Inui knows exactly what's coming. As Zhang throws the arm, Inui is already on the move. He completes a full circle and uses his right leg to chop Yang to the ground. And in this final clip against Zhang, Inui gives an alternative solution to the Russian arm. As Zhang throws the right arm, Inui sinks his weight and powers up with a Tiguruma. Although he doesn't throw Yang, it sends out a message that Inui will turn anything that the Korean attempts to his advantage.